Discograffiti presents Queasy Listening.
Episode number 2, Billy Joel's An Innocent Man.
This one's a good one. We haven't even done it yet, and I can confirm.
That's right.
In advance. That
Look, it's easy to be dismissive these days and say that everything sucks. With Queasy Listening, we aim to explain why you shouldn't be listening to these things. But frankly, there's probably no need to really explain it to you. That's the irony.
We also have a helpful series about how not to punch yourself in the face.
That's right. And how not to accidentally murder yourself. Okay, first things first, okay? Billy Joel is not good.
All right, wait a minute. I'll jump right in and take exception. I'm kind of probably a bigger Billy Joel apologist than you. I wouldn't say
you
fan.
Avoided the
I wouldn't
word.
say fan.
I do. Look, I'm old enough to say I like The Stranger a lot. The Stranger's a really good record.
That album is legit good. That's definitely the best album, and that's 4 stars.
There's no other.
4.5 stars.
I'm not going there. I refuse to rate it unless I'm held down and made to. But I don't like any other of his records, and there's some things that he's done that I think are detestable and offensive.
I can't endorse any of his other records. I can say he has some good other good songs that are not on the Stranger album.
For example, you love side 1 of the Nylon Curtain.
No, I will tolerate a couple songs.
Oh, sure. The mic goes
1.
on, and then all of a sudden.
Now, what did I say? I said Pressure. I like Pressure.
You said to me that half of the first side is awesome.
No,
you said it in oh so many words.
Because I only like 2 songs. I only know 2 songs
out of 4.
Okay, well then by default,
because
yes.
Goodnight Saigon is bloated.
Yeah,
so it takes up all that room. So you love half.
I like Allentown. Okay. I think Allentown's
you love
not
Pressure
bad.
and Allentown.
I like Pressure. I actually like.
Yeah.
All right. Point is, all right. I grew up around a lot of like New York City Italian guys that were like my dad's friends, and of that generation. Who, the sort of culture that Billy Joel represents, the sort of Italian, New York meatball eating, Yankees loving
That's right.
culture is very familiar to me.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I grew up. This record.
By the way, at this point, the reason we picked this record, because really you could say, I hate Billy Joel. You could just point to any of his records and they suck. No, I actually thought about it. This was my turn to pick.
Right.
Because Joe got the end of the Innocents, so I got the honor this time. So, in carefully examining his excreted puddle of musical offerings, I found that the 2 most offensive records are this and Glass Houses, where that's kind of his punk record.
Yeah, it's like his reaction to punk.
Yes, so they're most deserving of a bitch slapping. By the way, I think Glass Houses came out in 1980, so definitely late to the party.
Okay, this record is way worse than Glass Houses.
I agree.
This record is grating. It's irritating as fuck.
It is. So it's so hard to say.
The first thing I hate about it is that it's kind of an homage to all these. The
1950s
to the 50s and early 60s.
Let's talk about, before you continue, hold on, just pause. I know where you're going with this, so just pause it for a sec. I just want to tell a story about my friend John Landis, who is a friend of the pod, has been on the show. His episode's going to be released soon. He was friends with Alfred Hitchcock, and one day this is one of his favorite stories about Hitch. He by the way calls him Hitch. I call him Hitchcock. So he's talking about Brian De Palma's Dressed to Kill, so it's approximately 1980, and they're talking about that element of homage to Hitchcock's work, and he says, homage, it's more like fromage. So that's, I think, what we get with An Innocent Man, is that he tries and fails to capture the essence of all these different styles of music, and just basically is lobbing fistfuls of cheese at us.
It's just inherently like that kind of like cheap nostalgia is just so inherently uninteresting. It's like it's just warmed over original shit, but like with crappy 80s productions. I'll stick with the originals, dude. I'll just put the Wilson Pickett record on. I need to hear your take on Wilson Pickett.
This bullshit had been creeping into the music industry since 1969.
Yeah, well,
Sha Na Na was right before Jimi Hendrix.
This is like third wave.
Right
this is like third wave 50s revival. We're in 1983. It's not even that long ago.
Listen, Sha Na Na at Woodstock was Jimi Hendrix's national national anthem compared to An Innocent
And
Man.
then this take on nostalgia has a specific kind of like stickball, and like we're sitting on a stoop. Like
Wait, so it's
we've all
stickball
got-
and meatball. There's all kinds of balls.
And like it's like Mickey Mantle is hanging around somewhere, and like we're all greasing up our. It's a
Wait,
very
is there,
cheap kind
is
of.
the
nostalgia.
only 50s nostalgia that exists that's cool Zappa and the Mothers, Rubens cruising with you?
That's cooler.
That's yeah, cruising with Ruben is amazing.
It's just all that. I mean, it's like, okay, we're Gen Xers. I'm not really clamoring a record about going and playing Pac-Man at the 7-Eleven and like wearing parachute pants and watching real people and shit. Who gives a fuck?
Right.
It was fine. I lived
Right.
through it. It was when I was a kid. I
Here-
don't need to relive it all the time.
Here's basically
Wasn't that amazing?
Here's basically, I don't know if this is why I take offense to it. It's one of the, okay, this is not maybe the main reason I take offense to it. However, his penis wrote this record. Let me explain.
Yeah, that's the
okay?
worst part.
So he was, he was placing aforementioned penis inside models and wanted us mere mortals to feel the excitement that his penis was experiencing as he rode so high in the charts.
So he said he was inspired to revisit his teenage years because he felt like a teenager
Right.
again.
So he had
Because
been
he
married
ditched-
to a woman named Elizabeth Weber, who he wrote the actual great song "Just the Way You Are" about. Then
Apparently he didn't love her just the way she was because
apparently-
he fucking bailed on her for
Yeah.
supermodels.
apparently there's
He
no
likes the way
she
he likes
could have
the way
been
they
that
are
he
a
would
lot
have
better.
even liked. Yeah.
He much prefers the way they are.
Right. So he dated Elle McPherson. He dated Christy Brinkley, who he was in a long-term relationship with, and this was tickling his fancy. Right. When
So
you say he was tickled pink,
right? So he felt like a teenager again. So he
Right.
wanted to revisit the music of his teenage years.
right.
So,
And the whole thing was kicked off with the song "Easy Money" because Rodney Dangerfield asked him to write it for his movie "Easy Money" back when Rodney Dangerfield was making R-rated movies. By the way, have you noticed they got from R to PG-13 to PG to G, and then he died. Okay, so be careful.
because
Just
there's
keep it
nothing
at
after
R.
G.
Right. So "Easy Money" was made as a tribute to sort of like early R&B days, like what would you say, Wilson
It's
Pickett
like
or
a
some
James
shit?
Brown. He does the hi.
Right.
He does that
So
like
and
5
then
times.
when one of the worst songs on this record, "Tell Her About It," Rodney actually made an appearance in the video. So I'd like
Oh,
to
I
say,
forgot.
even though he's dead, that I'd like a movement to cancel Rodney Dangerfield.
So "Easy Money," as a song, it probably makes sense just fine over like the montage scene where like Rodney Danger's character, Rodney's character is like taking a little kid to a strip bar and like farting in front of some old lady and like doing all other adorably inappropriate things.
Right.
It probably makes perfect sense in that context. I'm sure. It's been a minute since I've seen "Easy Money." As a standalone song, it's just a little weird.
Yeah, but
It's a
it is
little,
his
like-
best movie. It's Billy Joel's worst record, and it's Rodney's best movie.
Episode idea: rate Rodney Dangerfield movie.
Well, episode idea:
Let's just
inverse
do that r-
proportion
let's
of
just do
Billy
that right
Joel,
now.
Rodney Dangerfield credibility. All right, so all right, so let's talk. I'm just gonna look.
That's the opening song. Is Easy
Money, right? And here's the singles. So the "Tell Her About It" was number 1.
Oh,
That's just pure
sucks.
excretion. Uptown Girl, number 3. That's a bad song. An Innocent Man, number 10. That is a horrible song. These are all top 10 singles. The Longest Time was number 14. Leave a Tender Moment Alone was number 27. Keeping the Faith was number 18. I mean, this is insane.
It has like 7 hit.
The record was on the chart for 111 weeks. His longest charting album, Behind the Stranger.
It was septuple platinum.
It's ridiculous. So, talk to me about, because you listened to it again, right? You didn't skirt
Yes,
your
I did.
responsibility.
I did.
I listened to
I
it.
even listened to all the other shitty songs.
How did you really feel? How
Well-
did you really feel listening to it?
First of all, so I generally don't like pastiche to begin with. This is all like the intent of it is pastiche, but like he breaks character in it. So like the song like "An Innocent Man," it starts like this like Benny King like "Stand by Me" kind of thing, and then that's all right, whatever. It's lame, but whatever. And then it goes into some whole other like regular like vaguely pissed off Billy Joel ballad kind of part that has nothing to do with the other part of the song, and then like back into the Benny King thing. Like, so his like commitment to the bit isn't even that strong.
I hate the chorus.
It
of that
sounds.
song.
It's
I
also
hate it.
this record just sounds like just stale and like
It's so
canned.
stale.
It
It's
just
so
sounds like the
stale,
most
yeah.
canned, like uninspired.
I told you
like,
my least favorite part of the record, right? On Tell Her About It. So in the chorus where it goes, tell her about it, tell her everything went na. That honk of the horn, it fills me with hate and disgust literally every time I heard it for this troll.
such a small detail, but
It is, but it murdered me.
that's a
when I
good
listened to
example of one that it seems like it's like this upbeat, jaunty sort of thing, but it's just so canned and. I mean, compare it. Okay, the song "Only Rock and Roll" to me, not a great song, right? But compare it to this. Like
Right,
that song at least
right.
has some life to it. you know?
Well, it's just a silly misfire as far as I'm concerned. But this to me is just more. It's more offensive.
It's like depressingly bad.
It is depressingly
Yeah.
bad. So, here's my thing for this one is that I was listening to it, and I really try for queasy listening because here's the thing: I'm actually trying to gauge my feelings as I listen to it. I'm not trying to just toss out frisbees.
This is like
and
an
make that be
existential
accessible. Yeah,
meditation
it
on
is.
why things are bad.
So just as white as the guy singing it, this music is so white. And then I just started sort of thinking about how white it was. I was at work, and I actually, for a day job, I'm a hearing instrument specialist. I fit hearing aids. So somebody had canceled. I had a 2-hour gap, and I was listening to Billy Joel. There was no one in the office but me. I was wearing 2 masks. Okay, so I started just thinking about how it's so white that I just started feeling that it was painful to listen to, like actually hurting me to listen to. And I was wondering why. And then I felt like it was connecting with a part of my soul that I felt way too cleaned out and blank to acknowledge. Okay, so that's where I actually started getting somewhere with because I
had a
really
breakthrough.
started trying to feel what this is like. So I had, in 2019 leading into 2020, I had 2 really difficult neck surgeries. And after many, many years of not even crossing paths with opiates of any kind, I was had to be back on them because of the intense pain. And right before the initial lockdown in 2020, I had to kick morphine and Norco. And that feeling after, while I was actually getting the opiates out of my body, the tumbleweeds that blew through my soul, and that feeling of that blankness, like nothing is below my feet, that feeling is directly related to listening to this record for me. And I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking.
It feels like that.
It feels like that.
I don't think that's what he intended when he made Uptown Girl.
Well, he hit somewhere much deeper than just Uptown Girl.
Uptown Girl has 500 million plays on Spotify.
That's
All right,
insane to me.
So people are listening to it ironically, right? They're listening to it because it sucks, right? That's got to be why.
No, nobody does.
I think
nobody
it's kind of
does
like
things
We
like
Built
that.
This City or something, where it's the
The only people
it's
who
just
do that.
known as an utter piece of shit. So people listen to it ironically,
Yeah, I mean, I would listen to We Built This City way before this.
but ironically though.
No, because they're inserting place names in it. It's meant for radio. They know how shitty it is.
Right.
He doesn't know how shitty
I
this
think
is.
this is a similar kind of. I think Uptown Girl has become a piece of '80s kitsch. I think it's become a thing that knowing people know it's terrible.
He's loved, and to me, he's playing at things, and he's a song and dance man, but he's not an artist.
It's another one of those things that, if you're one of these like New York City like stickball kind of guys, you love.
I could be murdered
you
for
love,
saying what I'm saying.
You love Frankie Valli.
Fuck
Frankie
that.
Valli is like your favorite
Fuck
thing.
that.
If you're one of these.
And the most annoying thing I've ever heard is Lou Christie going, lightning striking again.
More annoying than Billy Joel going, so fine.
It's on the same level.
Congrats on smashing Christy Brinkley, though.
Definitely.
He's very quick to remind you that he's smashing Christy Brinkley.
I think he saw himself as an everyman. I think he looks like an everyman. He sees himself
Oh, I'm
as
sure
one.
Christy Brinkley and Elle McPherson loved him for his personality.
No, but I'm saying that when he was excited about putting his penis inside models,
Right.
I'm sure that he was excited and thinking that we'd be excited for him
Right,
because
'cause he
we
was
saw
like-
how ugly he was.
Like he's like tricking them, like on our behalf.
Right, exactly. Yes. And so thank you so much for joining us on Queasy Listening. Look out for whatever episode number 3 is, because we don't even know
we didn't even
yet.
get to half of these shitty songs. There's so much more. It's terrible.
There's nothing even that needs to be said about the songs. Do you want to talk about them?
There's other bad ones. That's all.
That's all.
I'll just say this in closing. There's like 7 smash hits and then 3 other songs. You should hear the 3 other fucking songs.
They should release an EP.
They're real bad.
An Innocent Man's
If
other
you like
songs.
if you like songs that have a guy going like,
If you
like that, you'll love this. All right, I guess that's enough.
That's it. We'll join you guys on the next one. We'll see you for Queasy Listening number 3, when we try to get to the bottom of understanding just why we feel so hateful towards the things that we do. Until then,
All right, keep Patreon and on.
please do.
Thanks for subscribing, seriously. And,
Yeah, really, thank you.
see you next time.